Babylon Project was our last, best hope for peace. A self-contained world 5 miles long, located in neutral territory. A place of commerce and diplomacy for 250,000 humans and aliens. A shining beacon in space, all alone in the night. It was the dawn of the third age of mankind, the year the Great War came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Babylon stations. The year is 2259. The name of the place is Babylon 5.
Hello and welcome to Chats, the television podcast, Season 6, Chatzylon 5. My name is Alan, and as I look at you, Ambassador Magellan, I see a great hand reaching out of the stars. The hand is your hand, and I hear sounds of billions of people calling your name. Your friends? No. Your listeners. Welcome to the podcast.
Sorry,
hey, man.
sorry, Alan. There's a hollow demon casting an equation spell on my recording. I'm gonna have to take care of this real quick.
What was the line? There's a line, and I wrote it down too because I was like, "You're not allowed to say that line, Londo Malari." Oh, he says a hollow demon has possessed my data systems. Like, do not say those words.
Yeah,
like,
and then he
normal.
says it just cast an equation spell.
Oh my god, techno-mages are the best freaking thing about this episode. Hello, folks. Welcome to Chatzylon 5, the best podcast about Babylon 5 that is currently airing, probably, maybe.
We don't want to get into the
let's
turf
not.
war.
Yeah, turf wars, exactly. For this week, we watched Season 2, Episode 3, The Geometry of Shadows, and Season 2, Episode 4, A Shadow Star. Is that what that episode is called? Is it really called A Shadow Star?
A distant star.
A distant star. You're right. I just have shadows on the mind. A distant star. Yes. Let's first talk about The Geometry of Shadows, which was written by J. Michael Straczynski, directed by Janet Greek, aired November 2nd, 1994, and it takes place on Sunday, January 8th, 2259. But John, tell the kids what happened in this episode.
I will tell them what happened, sir.
Thank you.
So you don't even worry about what I'm gonna tell them, because I'm gonna tell them. Anyway, you asked what was going on in this episode?
I did ask
that.
Well,
I'll tell you, and I was ready to tell you before. In this episode, while Susan Ivanova must contend with the civil war among the Drazi, Londo Malari confronts a coalition of mysterious techno-mages. Alan, where do we start with this episode? This bad episode.
This puzzle box of an episode. It's not that bad. Be nice.
Stupid. It's the stupidest one we've ever watched. That's not true.
That's not true.
It's actually watchable stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of some episodes which have been unwatchable stupid.
This is going to be a really fun one to talk about in the recap because it'll have to. It's one of those things where I'm like, so technically introducing techno-mages seems like a big deal. But if they don't come back, and this is the only techno-mage, then like what? Then this is truly the most filler. Like this is a filler episode to the point where Susan, I don't want to keep calling her first and last name. Ivanova is given
Commander
a filler.
Ivanova. Let's do that.
Correct, the newly appointed Commander Ivanova.
Sure, it was a little paternalistic, the scene where she becomes commander, but still pretty cool.
She's given a filler episode of Babylon 5 for her own dealings. They're just like, hey, here's some nonsense that we don't have time in season 2 to deal with. You can just have this plot, and you can be the Sheridan of this episode. So I want to talk about that first, because the Drazi, man, the Drazi are well, they tried something. They did try something,
right?
There's a couple of sort of like setups that kind of come to a head between this and the B plot. The episode starts with Garibaldi being checked out by Dr. Franklin. I think shirtless Garibaldi kind of looks like a young Dr. Phil, which is really not sexy at all. It's just a flat, like a non-stomached Dr. Phil. That's sort of my take. And then he's what's it called? Dr. Franklin is like, "You're getting fat as shit, Garibaldi. Get your life together. Stop eating carbs." And he's like, "But
oh no, that's the next one.
oh, is that the next one? No, but he is shirtless.
He
in this
is
episode
checked
getting
out,
checked out.
Yeah. But this is the one where Dr. Franklin is like, "Does that hurt?" And Garibaldi says no, and then Dr. Franklin just smacks him.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me.
Don't hate it when my patients lie to me.
Yeah.
I love Dr. Franklin. He's my favorite. He's my favorite of the main crew.
He's great.
We also have the Londo setup, which is like he's talking to this other Centauri. It's really fun to see another Centauri because it's like you don't see that.
Well, so where do we want to start? Because there are a few threads. Do you want to talk about the Drazi one, or you want to set it all up?
Well, I want to do it. I'll set it all up, and then we can talk about the Drazi one specifically,
right.
because that one's kind of like pretty self-contained.
Yeah.
Londo meets with another Centauri, while Veer is like, Veer is like cutting his hair.
Yeah, just brushing it.
Yeah, it was like brushing it. It's like, oh yeah, I guess that does have to get maintained at some point by someone. And that guy is like, hey, so all the old men really want to like take the throne. Do you want to take the throne with us? And at like on Centauri Prime, and Londo's like, yes, I probably do. If it doesn't mean that I get in trouble. So that's kind of where his thing sets up. And then, Ivanova is promoted to the position of commander because Sheridan is like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm very busy and like, I'm not a commander type.
Yeah.
I'm a captain type. You should be commander. You can have the, like, he basically says, you're going to be a diplomat now. I've bestowed upon you this beautiful, amazing position.
Yeah,
Here you go.
It kind of confuses the chain of command to me because I don't understand. Because Sinclair was the commander, but was also the captain, I guess.
Right.
And so now they're dividing the duties, except then what is Sheridan left with?
Yeah, what do you do as captain if you don't get to do the diplomatic solution stuff?
And then he's complaining in the second episode about how he's doing too much of the diplomatic stuff. I just don't really get the division there.
It's more a question of like they've never explicitly said what each of the positions entails. Yeah. Like there's, Ivanova was lieutenant commander and now she's commander and he's captain, but what does that mean? But he also still does diplomatic stuff in the second episode. Like, it's all over the place, I think.
Yeah.
So she is assigned to deal with this Drazi conflict. There are a new race of people that are on Babylon 5, but at least we, the viewer, haven't seen before. They're all like, they're lizard men, basically, is the visual motif, is they're lizard people. And they're fighting each other a lot, and they're getting violent, and people are worrying that it's going to get, like, actually bloody and very violent.
Yeah.
So they ask Ivanova to handle it. She talks to them and basically learns that they are split into factions. They have a green and a purple faction. And she goes, like, that's cool. Like, what separates you guys? Is it, like, class, or is it like your upbringing, or is it like a familial thing?
So we have an equal number of purple and green sashes, and we put them all in a big bucket.
We had a really big bucket. There was a sale at the Michaels on just like big sashes, so we bought it like a 1,000 count of both, and whatever color you got, that was your faction. And now we fight because you're supposed to fight people of the other faction. And she's like, "Aw, that's so easy. Just stop fighting." And they're like, "No. Why would you ever stop fighting the purple guys? They suck. They're purple." And you're starting to get the suspicion that maybe they're doing a thing. Like maybe we're doing a lazy metaphor thing.
Right. It's kind of hard to figure out exactly what they're trying to say because this conflict is set up as ridiculous to the point that I can't really map it onto anything else. At the end, the Drazi kind of say, like, you guys have your flags.
Right.
It's like, yeah. So
like,
what's about nationalism? Is that what you're doing?
I think it's a catch-all. That's how I kind of saw it.
Yeah, but if you're trying to catch everything, then it means nothing.
It super doesn't mean it. You're correct.
All you're saying is like fighting is bad. Which is the show? Like you're just
which we already knew that. Yeah, that's what the literal purpose of Babylon 5 is like, hey, fighting is bad, so we made a neutral space. You can't fight on the ship, especially for no reason. I think if I can try to play devil's advocate, what they're trying to say is we set arbitrary lines that other people like and make villains out of other humans
Mm-hmm.
unnecessarily, and all that's doing is creating conflict.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I know that. And then what? Like Babylon 5 has this thing where it holds a mirror up to society and then it just punches the mirror with its big gloved space fist. And it's like, you saw yourself in there, right? Isn't that crazy? Now it's all corrupted. That's really sad, isn't it? Wow. Makes you think, doesn't it? Like, yeah, I know it. I know we fight a lot.
Yeah, but
And
because it doesn't challenge anything specific, we're not challenged to see the ways that we're complicit in those divisions being created.
Yeah, man, and it's a little irresponsible to end this episode by Ivanova being like, "All right, well, if you can just wear a scarf to change your color, then if I wear the scarf, wait, I'm the leader now. In that case, no more fighting." Da 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 da. Then you're just saying like, then we could all give this up if we just, tried each other's clothes on for a day or something.
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah, it just seems kind of simplistic. And then it also, more than making me think of things in American society, it makes me think of the way that sometimes our society views conflicts in other societies. Like the feud between Sunni and Shiite Muslim people or something.
Right. Or even like Israel Palestine.
Palestine, like whatever. And we're just kind of like, what? What's the big difference, you guys? Why are you fighting?
Yeah.
And yeah, it just is not seeking to understand the Drazi in any way. It's just like, this is dumb. And yeah, it's meant to be comedic. Like the plot is meant to be funny.
Of course.
And I think that Ivanova, it's enjoyable to see her flummoxed and having to get people to play nice when that's not really something that she has done before in the show. But it's so throwaway. Yeah. There's nothing you can really draw from it.
You bring up an interesting point about like maybe it's sort of looking at how Americans look at other cultures and their differences and how simplistic we do, but then it just makes Ivanova right at the end. She's like, yeah, this conflict is arbitrary, so if I join in and if I interfere, then I can fix this, which is also fraught if you think about it. But if it's telling us like, well, you guys also make arbitrary differences between black and white or whatever, then like tell me what to do about that. And also, you need to acknowledge, if you're going to do this metaphor, you have to acknowledge the fact that we're not separated as a country because people are wearing different colors of clothing. We're not separated on arbitrary reasons. There are structural, fundamental reasons why things are the way they are. Even in 1994, when this aired, there was a lot of big political splits, and the Gulf War is going on. Like, we are making enemies out of other people, but it's because of like reasons beyond just they look different than us.
Yeah.
So that's why it bums me out to see this episode. It's like, it's not like you guys were at a lack of things you could point to and make an episode about. And I think you can even do a funny episode about that stuff if you kind of take a minute to be like, oh, this is bigger than us. We can't figure this out in one day. We tried to, and it turns out we didn't even know what was going on. There was so much more to the Drazi than we thought. Because now, even like, from a lore perspective, though, the Drazi just look like big, dumb dorks. Like, if we ever see them again, we'll just be like, oh, those are the guys that killed like half their people because they're idiots. Like, all right, great. It doesn't do a lot. And it tries to have its like silliness cake too, because this intersects with like Garibaldi getting back into the like his position as a cool cop. That moment where he rescues Ivanova, and like, speaking of Ivanova constantly being like lorded over by different men,
right?
She's given the position by Sheridan in a like, you seem like you could use more work to do. Here you go. Here's a good job for you.
Yeah. Then she breaks her ankle.
And she breaks her ankle, which there's production reasons for that, but
well, yeah, she does so in real life. So.
Correct. And then she gets attacked, and she seems like she's gonna get hurt by the Drazi, and then Garibaldi gets to do this like goofy, dumb traveling salesman, like, hey, I'm here to sell you on a thing. Just shout if you need help, and then he like saves her day, and it's like, what are you doing, Babylon 5? What are you doing? Come on, guys.
I didn't hate it though, because the whole episode, Garibaldi was like, "Do I want to go back to being a dude?" And
Like a
then,
cop guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's not the best way for her plot to go, but I still liked that Garibaldi got a moment where he made the choice to save someone.
Yeah, it's better Garibaldi character development than it is, I would argue, Ivanova development.
Right, that's true.
But she's given a position, and that's good. Like, she's given more things to do.
Yeah.
Speaking of Garibaldi, though, there is like a weird side scene where he talks to this guy, Lou Welch, who's one of the other cops on Babylon 5.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, Garibaldi, we like, come on, man, we bought a cake and like we left it for like days. And then of course, Garibaldi has to make the fat joke, and he's like, they left a cake and you didn't eat it already? Impossible. It's like, okay, yep, that's cop humor. I'm fine with that. That's like this kind of like bro-y joke.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get back, like he's getting back into being a cop, and good for him. I guess I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings about Mr. Garibaldi. Mr. Garibaldi.
Mr. Garibaldi. I like him.
Yeah, I mostly...
I like that he's been humbled by the fact that he got betrayed.
Right, yeah, he has these like little more personal scenes where he's like, how... If the person closest to me could betray me, then like how am I supposed to be trusted with it? How can I trust anyone with anything? How do I do anything right?
Right.
I'm a bad cop.
Yeah.
That brings us, though, to the sort of B-plot of the episode, which is, so we talked about Londo making a deal with the other Centauri about the old men. This is intersected by the introduction of a techno-mage named Elric, a techno-mage who they literally describe as, like, they do magic, what with technology. Did you get it? It's just that. They're magicians, guys. But they're, like, tech magicians. The phrase techno-mage is sick as hell. If I saw techno-mage,
it's not.
I'll fight you on this. Techno-mage is like something you'd see in a Shadowrun playbook, and you'd be like, whoa, cool, techno-mage? Sure, bring it on.
Okay, if the whole world is about that, if the concept of the world is like the kind of fantasy archetypes, but in a high-tech steampunk or cyberpunk or whatever you want to do,
sure,
kind of world, then all right, fine. But this show cannot sustain that. It doesn't belong here. So much so that by the end of the episode, they're like, yeah, we're all leaving. Here are all the cool things we can do. We're out of here. Goodbye.
Yeah. It's the show realized that, and they're like, oh yeah, we can't. It's just you know how in season 1 they would turn like they'd get a cool piece of tech or a weapon, and they'd be like, oh, this is too powerful for Babylon 5. Let's throw it into space.
Yeah.
They threw a whole race of people into space.
Right, exactly.
Techno-mages who this Elric guy is he's playing it very extra. He's playing it very like to the screen. Mm-hmm. He's like doing like Lord of the Rings quotes and going on all these like long spiels about.
And then he's like, I can
stuff.
I know how to cure all diseases and like the 14 words that get someone to fall in love with you, and I can teleport people, and it's like, what?
What
Why? Is this? And then he tells Sheridan, he's like, movers, shakers, dreamers, makers. That's what we are. And then at the end of the episode, Sheridan keeps ending episodes this way, where he's talking to himself and like laughing about something that someone said. He's like, what is it he said? Movers, shakers, dreamers, makers. Part of me believes like that they're gone, but part of me still believes in magic.
Part of me still believes we're going to get another show with a main character as a techno-mage. In like 7 years.
Yeah.
No, that's true. He definitely has the like, man, this episode was pretty crazy, self.
Yeah, he keeps doing that.
It's like, we just watched it, Sheridan. I know it's weird. I just saw him.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about the techno-mage is that he says all of this amazing, incredible magic stuff that he can do. And the only thing he actually does is he makes a hologram of a Rancor appear on the ship and scare Veer and then scare Londo. Like,
yeah.
It's so dumb.
Yeah,
and then, he also hacks Londo's computer.
Yeah, right. With a hollow demon.
A hollow demon has possessed my data systems. And it made his computer play Narn Opera, which sounds bad because we like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. because they have that exact same
Yeah.
joke, and yeah, it's great. So also they just it's just disappointing to me to have this like really cool race and this really cool like group of people who have all these powers, and they're just played for comedy and sort of like mystical foreshadowing, because they sort of like tease Londo because he records their conversation and tries like stealing information about them, and then they curse him to have like 3 goblins like cling to his back, and then they like eat his clothes or something. And then the guy's like, yeah, I'll get rid of him, but anyways, here's this like really chilling line about how you're going to kill 1 million people. It's a lot. The final line is yeah, as I look at you, Ambassador Malari, I see a great hand reaching out to the stars. The hand is your hand, and I hear sounds of billions of people calling your name. And then Londo's like, my people, and he's like, your victims. Like, Londo's gonna do bad things, guys. Did you know? Did you know? We brought a whole character on the ship just to tell you that again. He also says, Londo, you will spend the rest of your life paying for your mistakes. I could kill you now, but somebody else would take your place. Which, like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
It's just like doubling down on all of the stuff that we already know. Like, Londo is going to have his life ruined.
Yep. He's going to cry.
He's going to cry. He's going to kill people. We're going to see him cry naked in a corner at one point. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Ew, naked Londo. What do you think about that, Majan?
Yeah. I mean, let's bring it on. In it to win it.
Is it just because you relate to him on a personal level and you're just like, I'm down? Give me that representation.
Yeah, I want to see him reach rock bottom.
I want to see him show his whole ass on Babylon 5.
Yeah. For sure.
Give me that.
I'm interested to see where Londo goes. I mean, the one thing that's good that comes out of this techno-mage plot is it shows the extent to which he is excited to overthrow his government and become like the next big thing. So that's going to go badly for him, probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It has to.
Right. And I'm excited to see exactly how badly it goes. I was also thrown off that the Centauri guy he's talking to at the beginning is doing his accent. Because we hadn't seen a single other Centauri who did it before.
Right, Veer does not have that accent.
Veer doesn't have it. So is it just like an upper crust kind of vampire thing?
I think so.
That guy
Veer
did not
has
do a
an
great
accent.
job. Yeah, that guy didn't do a great job acting through the accent. It sounded super fake.
Yeah, it just was like, I am doing an accent. You're right. And it doesn't. He doesn't sell it very well either. Because you can just commit to that and sell it pretty well if you try.
Right.
Antonio Refa is that guy's name.
I thought Veer was great in this episode.
Yeah, dude, that whole that's my next note actually. Veer talking about fate and how it's like waves and we're carried by waves.
I love that.
And then Alana's like, "Shut up, Veer."
Shut up.
I was like, "No, don't shut him up."
I believe in fate. I believe that there's good things and bad things, and the good things look bad, and the bad things look good, and it's all waves. And yeah. Sometimes
the good waves look like bad waves, and the bad waves look like good waves, and you have to ride a wave, but you don't want to always ride a wave because it's dangerous. It's like, just stop. You're me trying to do philosophy.
Yeah.
And then he, I think in that same scene, like takes a sip of alcohol. Oh yeah, like Londo leaves his drink and like gets all angry, like, no, I don't want to, blah blah blah. And then Veer's like, sip, and then instantly passes out because he's a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, good comedy stuff, honestly, in this episode. Like a pretty funny episode.
I'd be down to see more Veer.
Oh, always, man. I'm telling you, listener, if Veer ends up leader of the Centauri Republic, greatest show.
I'd watch an episode that was only Veer and Lanier, and that's it.
Oh my god, of course.
And they just hang out.
That's such a good combo that I'd be surprised if we didn't get something like that.
I'm sure we will at some point.
Yeah, God, please give me that. I did end up looking up. The only thing I'm like being more and more careful not to look up spoilers now, but I did look up like, do the techno-mages come back? Because they were so cool to me that I was like, please tell me. And they don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
I'm not surprised.
To the point where like when they made Crusade, they were like, come on, all right, okay, I'm sorry, then let's do this again.
Should we use this thing that we did?
They're like looking in a trunk full of old unused Babylon 5 ideas and like, oh, techno-mage, shit, yeah, techno-mages.
Yeah.
So I think like one of the main characters in that. And then there's also like a trilogy of books about techno-mages.
Techno-mages. But
So-
are they like canon?
Who cares, man? It's books. I like books. Let's take a quick break. Actually, do we have an email this week? What the fuck was that? We can't just have bits like that where they fall into the ocean.
I thought you were gonna follow it up. I thought you had another note.
I tried to follow it up. I
You
didn't
tried
have
to
anything.
swing it. That's okay.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything? We talked about techno-mages and
No, I don't think so. We talk about techno-mage. We
Yeah,
talk about the Ivanova stuff. I hit all my important notes.
that Drazi guy was scary. The actor who was playing the green leader, Drazi.
The main green leader, yes.
Whew, he was frightening.
Yeah, he's got a very intense, like
Yeah,
a good hiss.
He was too good as the Drazi for that
the-
like funny, stupid plot.
He's playing the opposite of the other thing that the Centauri guy has, where he's like completely committed to the accent.
Yeah,
He's like very much a snake lizard man.
yeah.
Oh, and then there's a weird throwaway line from the techno-mage where he says, "We would not have our knowledge lost or used for ill purpose." So that's where I thought when Sheridan was like, maybe we will see them again. Like maybe they have their knowledge used for ill purposes.
Right.
So
It's just another thing pointing to shadows are coming.
yeah, but
It's gonna
exactly.
be bad.
Exactly. Speaking of like reading spoilers for things, the one email we got this week, because our like schedule is kind of wonky right now because we're kind of like
we're ahead of schedule actually.
a beat ahead. Yeah, so we got one email. This one came almost a week ago from our friend Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan, for the email. It's a short one. It says subject line: dodging those spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you guys click on a seemingly innocuous wiki link in the middle of the live recording, I catch my breath in anticipation of you stumbling into an epic spoiler. I'm doing my best, Jonathan. I'm sincerely doing my best.
Is that the whole email?
No, the other half
Okay.
is just some advice. The Lurker's
how
Guide
to
for each
dodge
episode. Yeah, well, no,
Yeah.
the Lurker's Guide was created contemporaneously with the original episode airing, so it's always safe to look at their Lurker's Guide.
Okay.
So if you ever want to like read about the episode you're watching, just do that if you don't want to be spoiled. But John, how do you feel about spoilers for the show?
I try, man. I try,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm doing better than I've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we watched Buffy as friends years ago, I ruined a lot of Buffy for myself before we got to it.
In like season 2, you were already like, yeah. So
I
here's
was
something
like,
happened in
yeah,
season 7.
I read the whole wiki. And,
Yeah,
like Xander gets an eye patch and it's crazy.
yeah.
And then when we watched Farscape, I spoiled kind of a big thing.
Yes.
But then it was fine. I don't know. It never is bad.
It's never like actively harmful to you. I just want to have myself like I want to have some level of surprise that I can bring to the podcast.
Right. I think
You know?
the thing that it messes with is my ability to make genuine guesses.
Right.
And
And do like the prediction segments and the recaps and stuff because it's like, well, I know. Yeah. So.
But it doesn't actually disrupt my enjoyment of the show very much.
Oh
Because if I see a spoiler out of context, I just wonder how do we get there? How does that happen?
Totally. Like
Yeah.
the only like major thing that I remember getting spoiled early on was like the show eventually becomes like a war show. And I'm like, hell yeah, like get me there. I'm into that. But it's like I'm usually of the opinion that light spoilers that you find on a wiki, you can usually they usually just motivate me to watch the show more. Like I spoil like half the anime I watch when I start reading about it, but then
Yeah.
it's like, no, I want to see them get there. Like that's like the journey is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But also I totally get people who are like, they want
I always
pure.
am the person who reads like the last sentence of the book.
before
as I'm
right when
reading
you
it,
start,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
'Cause you're like, shit, whoa. How did we get to
Right. Like how does that make sense? Their boats ceaselessly back the night. Whatever that. I have the.
I was
Great
gonna
Gatsby
do
right
I
here.
was gonna do with Mice and Men. You did the great.
So we beat on boats against the currents, borne back ceaselessly into the past.
John, can I out myself? I almost said you were quoting the great Garibaldi.
Oh yeah, let's write the fan fiction. of that.
The Great Garibaldi.
That sounds awesome.
Oh my god.
It's just Garibaldi as Gatsby. It kind of fits because doesn't Gatsby not really drink or something?
Right, he used to or something.
Or something, yeah. It's been a while.
Forgetting the specifics of classic American
I've
literature.
read that book 3 times at least, if not 4.
I watched the movie.
I also watched the movie.
Let's take a quick musical break, and we will be back to discuss A Distant Star.
Welcome back to Chatzylon 5. The second episode we watched this week was Season 2, Episode 4, A Distant Star. It was written by J. Michael Straczynski, directed by Jim Johnston. It aired on November 11th, 1994, and it takes place on Thursday, January 12th through Thursday, January 19th of 2259. Alan, what happened on A Distant Star?
Well, Magellan, I would like to state right now, before I forget, that we got the credits completely wrong for both of these episodes because I forgot to update them like a fool.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
Can I go back and fix them right now as we talk?
Oh, yeah.
So, Geometry of Shadows, this is important to me and us as people who care about who made these things. They were both written by JMS. Geometry of Shadows is actually directed by Michael Vehar. It actually aired November 16th, 94. These were last week's credits. That's the problem. And it took place January, Wednesday, 25th to Sunday, February 5th of 2259.
Okay.
And A Distant Star was actually written by D.C. Fontana, not by J. Michael Straczynski.
Oh.
It was directed by Jim Johnston. It took place from January 30th to February 2nd of 2259. And it aired November 23rd. So, sorry.
Great. That's okay.
Oopsie.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you. In this episode, an Earth Alliance Explorer-class ship commanded by an old friend, Captain Sheridan, arrives at Babylon 5. Meanwhile, Dr. Franklin puts the command crew on a diet. Mr. Magugli, what did you think of A Distant Star?
I thought it was good. It's not going to go down as one of my favorite episodes, but it's an episode that gives us some Sheridan development that I think is legit instead of the ham-fisted, look at this nice smiling guy and his dead wife stuff that happened last week. It's like, no, here's a man who had one vision for what his life would be like, and his life isn't working out that way, and he's got to deal with that. That feels more real to me than what they've been throwing at us. And I don't know, because I was into him last week, and then the first episode of this week, I was thinking, I don't know, he's just sort of normal. He's just kind of handsome.
Yeah.
And he's always kind of smiling to himself. Man, this place is weird. And I don't want that from supposedly the main guy of Babylon 5.
Yeah.
The thing that was great about Sinclair is that he was serious, but he was just as odd as everybody else. And he was a little unpredictable. And he was passionate about stuff. And Sheridan is just like, it's a job. Just here doing a job. That'll change over time, I'm sure. But as of right now, we're not getting a lot from this guy. So I appreciated that this episode gave us more to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
And, overall, I thought it was fairly watchable. What'd you think?
Well, there's a lot to like between, the Maynard character is pretty good. I think Russ Tamlin brings a lot to that character, just like a familiarity with Sheridan and a friendship that I think he delivers a lot better than the sister did last week.
Yeah, for sure. He's kind of an odd performance that isn't totally believable all the time. But when you reminded me that he was the doctor from Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, he's bringing
yes.
kind of a Twin Peaks thing.
Yeah, he's bringing a strangeness to it.
Yeah.
The really weird thing, though, is this episode is paced so strangely.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Dr. Jacoby. Maynard is brought onto the ship, walked around the ship, given a tour, has a whole arc with Sheridan, and then leaves 18 minutes into the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the time as I had taken like so many notes, and then I was like, oh my god, this was all in the first 18 minutes? Like, what's the rest of this episode?
Right.
And it turns out it's just this like really slow but like kind of good, cool rescue mission where the crew of his explorer ship are attacked by, or they're trapped in hyperspace with some bad guys. And they have to get rescued, and so Sheridan sends out his like Zeta Squadron to rescue them, and it's this whole like, we're gonna basically catapult them by like bringing them from one escort to the next escort, and then they're gonna get pulled out of hyperspace.
Cool idea.
Very cool idea.
Yeah.
Really hampered by the fact that the CG in the show is still very bad.
Yeah.
Like, and this time it's not even a question of like, oh, the 3D like looks cheesy. It's like, I cannot physically tell what's happening.
Right.
There's a lot of orange portals.
There's that part where they're looking on the screen, the crew of the what's the ship called?
I don't remember what the actual ship is called. The Cortez.
The Cortez. The crew of the Cortez is looking at the fighter pilot guy. Like, oh, he just keeps shooting in one direction. Why is he doing that? And it's the screen of the little choppy looking 3D model of the ship flipping over and over and like pew,
pew, pew. It looks so silly because
really
they're
dumb.
It really does. Yep. And like it's all hinging on this whole like them watching this happen, and you're like, I don't really like, I feel a big dissonance when characters on the show are watching CG things happen and being like, I really hope this works out because oh god.
Right.
And then it contrasts against the fact that like the ship itself is a really cool design. It just doesn't move well because it looks like crap because it's the 90s and we're watching a bad cut of the show, unfortunately. But like, yeah, that it's a bummer because like that is such a big chunk of the episode. And it only works because the first half is, all of this dialogue between Sheridan and Maynard about like, you used to do more things and now you're working a diplomat job and now you're in politics and that sucks. And when are you going to get back to, doing the things that you love? And then Sheridan's like, I don't know what the things I love are. It's starting to seem like maybe one of the themes of this season is like, figuring out not only where you belong, but like accepting that like you are where you belong at all times.
Yeah.
And then that question is kind of futile of like trying to get out of your space where it's much easier and healthier to like carve out a niche within your own space.
Yeah, that seems to be what Delenn is forwarding. Is like we are where we're meant to be.
Well, yeah, and it seems like more of a long-term thing too, because Ivanova is everyone is getting back into positions and kind of like re-examining the positions that they're in. Garibaldi is like, do I still want to be an officer? And Ivanova is like understanding how difficult it is to be a commander. And like Londo is learning what it is to be cursed, to be owned for the rest of eternity. Keffer is becoming a character on the show, unfortunately.
Can we talk about Keffer?
Let's just climb right into that Keffer ship and just pull him out and let him die in hyperspace. Whoops.
Okay. So they put him at dinner again with the main characters talking to them and gave a close-up shot where he was like, what happened then? Who are you, dude?
Whose mans is this? Someone please come collect your mans.
And then they're going to give us this shot when we're going around the circle of the pilots who are looking at Sheridan, and they frame it so that like Keffer's in the foreground in one part of the thirds, rule of thirds space, looking at Sheridan. Who are you? Who is this guy? I don't want the show to be more about like the pilots, the fighter pilots. Pew, 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 pew. It's not why I watch this diplomacy show.
Yeah, like, and it's not even that. It's just he has no character. Like, I know the show's gonna become a war show, and like if you're gonna do a war show, then like all the human drama is what makes the good war stories good. The reason people like Saving Private Ryan is because they spend a lot of that movie just like with the soldiers hanging out before they all die.
Right.
We are just introduced to Keffer as if he's like the perfect special boy who basically fails upward into the the captain of the main squadron of Babylon 5, because his superior is killed in the attack. His superior, Ray Gallus, this like cool black dude who's just like, I'm a cool pilot. I have a great mustache. I'm destined to die. Oops, I died.
Yeah.
And then Keffer's like, I guess I can be on the show now. Like, what? Why? Like, give me something, guys. Please give me something. I cannot give you any description of who Keffer is as a character. I just know that he has gotten this position out of like necessity, pretty much.
Right.
And it seems like everybody else likes him. I don't know why.
I think part of what makes me resentful of him is that we see so little of some of the other characters who are, to us, main characters in the show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want more Keffer time to take away from the chance that Lanier could be in an episode. And that's what's happening. It's a zero-sum game.
That's a good point. It's different from like when you see Jewel on Farscape. Jewel, what's her name? Julie? Jahul? Oh my God! What's the redhead from Farscape's name? I need to know right now.
Oh yeah, what is her name?
It's
the thing that's coming to my mind
Jewel.
is
It is Jewel.
Juhani, who is a character in Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes, it's Jewel.
Jewel?
Correct.
Her name's Jewel. How do you spell it?
She had a Jool. She had a longer name. Julushko Tunai Fenta Havalis, remember?
Jewel.
The point is, for people who haven't watched Farscape, Jewel was a character introduced in season 3 of that show, like the penultimate season, and just kind of dropped in as like, she's a main character now. And you're like, wait, what? Why? Like, I already like everyone else, so I don't want to like a new person.
Yeah.
And eventually it came to work because they gave her plot, and they gave her a reason to be on the ship, and they made her a character. And they haven't made Keffer a character yet. So he's just kind of there, and we're expected to know who he is and to understand why he matters, and he does not matter.
No.
I don't care how much you tell me, like, okay, he's a heroic fighter pilot. He survived the shadow attack, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. Don't give me that. Don't put... Babylon 5, please don't give us this really final, like, triumphant shot where Keffer is, like, hosting a toast to everybody on the main cast. Like, yeah, it's me. I'm on the show now. Don't do that.
It just bothers me that that nobody is like, who are you?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the fact that he just kept having dinner with them when he was just a guy. He wasn't even the leader of the Zeta Squadron yet. He was just a dude who was hanging out with them.
If a listener or if the show at some point told us why everybody knows Keffer, would you be okay with it?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Listener, that's your challenge. Tell us why we were supposed to care about Keffer. How do people know him? Is he just random? Is the show trying to force a new character on here? Because, I don't know. I've tried to write stories with characters before. I understand it's hard to do introductions, but, like, this is bad, right? We're not weird? In 2018, looking at this character?
We didn't need to see him before this moment.
No.
I don't know.
Like, maybe this would actually be an okay introduction for him. Of like, your captain died, now you're being put into a position. Like, it's the like learning to accept your position. Like, I guess I am the captain now. Sorry, I can't say I can't say the captain now without thinking of Captain Phillips.
They really ruined such a common phrase.
And just a everyday phrase like I'm the captain now. Speaking of everyday though, there's other plots in A Distant Star. For example, the crew is put on a diet. I love this plot dearly with my whole entire heart.
It's wonderful.
It's precious and pure and funny and good. That's it. Period. Next topic. No, it's Franklin is like, Garibald, you're getting fat as shit, my guy. I cuss once per episode now, and that was my one.
You're gonna get a freaking heart attack, my dude.
Yeah, please stop. And he's like, but I want to make my banya cowda. Come on,
no
my favorite.
Anchovies. What?
Yeah, he gets so mad about anchovies. Which I understand as someone who's I'm trying to manage my sodium as well. It's very important. You should, like, anchovies are bad. So Garibaldi is put on a no bread, no salt diet. And then Ivanova also comes and he's like, you're like too fit. She's like, I keep an incredible workout regimen and I eat exactly perfectly all the time. He's like, you need like weight on your bones actually, because you're iron deficient and your leg is not going to heal. I like the continuity of
Yeah.
her leg is still broken.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we didn't mention this, but her leg was broken because the Drazi knocked her over and she fell on her foot, which is just a silly way to be like, now for 2 episodes.
Right.
You're like, but I guess because, Claudia Christian like actually broke her leg and they didn't want to take her off the episode. So that's cool.
And then this weird exchange happens in her checkup.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, where Ivanova says, figures. All my life I've fought against imperialism. Now, okay. All right.
Okay.
Now suddenly I am the expanding Russian frontier. Okay. This does not fully make sense, the words you've said. And then Dr. Franklin moves his head, looks at her, but with very nice borders.
Shut up, Dr. Franklin. Don't ever be horny, mister.
What?
Don't ever be horny.
Why would you ruin our perfect boy? Why would you ruin our sweet boy with such filth lines?
Don't even as like they cut away from the I worry that it was the actor being like sneaking in a last line as they were cutting away. Richard Biggs was like, I'm gonna be naughty.
No way.
But no, it's just a gross line.
Yeah.
I think I am the expanding Russian front is really funny though. Frontier.
It is, but I don't know. Like, I've spent my whole life fighting against imperialism, I guess, except you're part of like the space military. So really?
So explain this to me. Yeah, right.
I don't really buy that you're fighting against imperialism.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
And then Delenn gets like a sexy checkup from Franklin, and I like this moment where
everything that she does now going to be sexy because she has hair. Is that how we're gonna play it as a show?
Absolutely.
All right, great.
Yeah, they're great work, guys.
Cool.
Delenn gets a sexy checkup from Franklin, and then she's like, oh, when is the ambassador coming on the ship? And he's like, what? Like Ambassador Banya Kauda? And he's like, Garibaldi. Because Garibaldi goes so far to cheat on his diet as to have one of the
smuggle ingredients. Yeah, I
really liked that character. He reminded me of. Have you seen Die Hard? There's a character we should watch Die Hard this year. It's a fun movie around Christmas. There's a character in Die Hard who's like the limo driver or whatever, who like takes the main guy to the Nakatomi Plaza the first time. He's like, "I'll hang out." Like he's just like, "I'll be right back." And he's like, "I'll hang out for a while. I'll wait for you." And just every once in a while they cut back to him like chilling. He's just this like cool dude in a limo. This guy, that Garibaldi, is like, I will pay you if you can bring me olive oil onto the ship so that I can make this delicious dish. And then he gets caught by Dr. Franklin, who comes in and yells at the guy, which, hey, good flags, Babylon 5, for having 2 people of color talk to each other on your TV show at the same time.
Yeah, phew.
When it happens, we knock on wood because that's really like good job. That's a rare one. So he takes back the stuff. And then Garibaldi's like, come on, just once. And then
it's my
Franklin's
birthday. My dad's dead.
It's my birthday. Yeah. And then I'm shocked that was true, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't it read like a joke?
That he was like lying, but I'm glad that it was real.
He says like, my dad made this food for me and would work so hard for it, and clearly that was how he showed that he loved me because he would never show it otherwise. And then Franklin buys that, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, but it was true, I think.
But there's no evidence that it's not, so I think it is true.
Yeah.
Franklin and him eat the snack together. It's just like oil fondue. It's olive oil fondue, basically. You put like olive oil and garlic into like a big bowl, and then you dip vegetables and bread into it. Which like that, I mean, that seems kind of yummy, I guess. It's an Italian thing. I don't know. I'm not Italian. And then, so everyone is on this diet. There's another good comedy scene where they're in the restaurant and they're eating dinner, and they're eating like, one of them's eating like Ivanova's eating the heavy dinner. Garibaldi's eating the light dinner, and Sheridan is eating like the medium dinner, and they all like swap plates.
Yeah, that was cute.
And then they
nice
swap
bit of
back.
Character comedy.
Oh yeah, good physical comedy too with the swapping and everything. And then just one of the weirdest like side moments. There's so many side moments in this episode because it's very like unconcerned with its main plot until the end when it's only concerned with its main plot.
Right.
But you get Delenn talking to Sheridan because Sheridan's like, I don't know if I belong here. And then
he sent those like the fighter pilot guys died. He feels guilty about it.
And he says it's my fault and I'm bad at my job. And then at first I really liked Dylan's lines here, because they are the classic JMS style, like everything matters. You're all a purpose. Purpose is what you make of it. Like just telling us what the themes are.
Yeah.
And then she has that whole line about like the molecules of your body are the same molecules that make up this station and the nebula outside. We are star stuff. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is she doing Carl Sagan? And she's literally directly quoting Carl Sagan Cosmos. Like, guys, you don't just do that.
Yeah, that really made it fall flat for me.
You can have those exact same ideas without literally lifting the line from Cosmos.
Because the thing that's great about Delenn is that she's wise in a way that sounds weird. That we haven't heard before.
Yeah. And now she's just quoting real life pop culture, like relevant, like it's like a Family Guy quote or something like or a cutaway where it's like, yeah, remember Carl Sagan, he used to always say that thing. Here it is.
Yeah.
In direct quotation. And whatever. This is good advice to Sheridan. It's like your purpose is what you make of it. I get that. Great work.
Yeah.
But
and then Sheridan goes to Ivanova and he's like, "Hey, you ever talk to Delenn?
Have you seen her? She's got hair now. She talks about star stuff
with Ambassador Delenn.
She's pretty hot.
She's pretty hot, huh?"
And Ivanova's like, "I agree with you."
They basically had a moment at the beginning where Maynard is like, "Yo, Sheridan, what's up with her, huh?
Whose romance is that? She's a cutie."
Yeah.
You doing that? He's like, "Nah, dude, should I?" And he's like, "Dude, go for it." It's so dumb. It's very fratty. Like, what's with that girl? You guys got a girl on the ship? Like,
yeah. Anyway.
But I digress.
I liked the part where I don't know if we're gonna talk more about Delenn in this episode, but towards the beginning where the Minbari guy who's representing like the other Minbari on Babylon 5 goes to her and says, "We just don't know if you're
Minbari
anymore, so we can't really," because she's like, "All I expect is obedience." And he says, yeah, if you're a Minbari, yeah, but if you're not,
then you have no authority.
Yeah.
And it's weird because he's not being like directly cruel to her. He's just like, this is a question we have. And logic states, like the Minbari are very logical people. Like, if you're not Minbari, then I don't believe you anymore. I don't have any reason to do what you say anymore.
Yeah.
I know I should. I don't want to say no, but like, you don't look like it anymore. So, like, what does that mean? And I think, that's a more interesting way to take the Delenn stuff than like, she's hot, let's date her now.
Right.
Which they're still going to do. Yeah, but they're still absolutely going to be like, let's go for a long walk on the space beach sometime.
Right.
And then there's like the classic Babylon 5 like 17 endings. Like they free the Cortez from the hyperspace jump.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy dies. He sacrifices himself. Keffer gets promoted. They eat the Banya Kauda together.
Yeah, a lot of kind of cliche stuff happening in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they say it can't be done. I don't need to remind you that it's never been done. They say this like nobody's ever done it, but we're gonna try, and then they do it.
Right, that's from the scene where he's like doing like a pep talk for all the Zeta Wing people.
Yeah,
that whole scene was just like cliche after cliche.
Yeah,
unnecessary. And the like, you're being put on a diet. Just kidding, you're gonna cheat on your diet is kind of a cliche plot.
Yeah, but it's fun to see these characters do it.
Yes, and it's in this context of like we literally have to smuggle olive oil, and that's like kind of cute.
Yeah.
So that works, but and then the last scene is the one you talked about where Ivanova comes in and Sheridan's like, "Hey, so Delenn's like cool. She's got like good ideas about stuff." And I think that's pretty much what we got. Yeah.
And then we saw more of these like scary shadow things.
Yeah.
And who knows what's up with those, except that they're evil, I guess.
I think I saw, and this is Lurker's Guide material, so this is not spoiler material. Jameis confirming that Morden is not a shadow himself. Morden is human.
Okay.
He was like, Morden is human. I want people to be completely clear on that fact. Morden is not one of the things that he's working for.
I see.
Like, thinking. But we press onwards. We're kind of getting into the swing of things. We're kind of like, we're getting into the big stuff.
We're setting some foundation
The next episode sounds big from what I've heard. That's what I'll say. Yes.
You want to know what it's about?
I do want to know what it's about.
Okay, fella. Well, I can read you the summaries of the next 2 episodes we're watching.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Next week, we are watching the following 2 episodes of Babylon 5 Season 2. They are Season 2, Episode 5, The Long Dark, and Season 2, Episode 6, Spider in the Web. The Long Dark. An old ship arrives from Earth with 2 bodies. I don't know what that
That's all it
means.
says?
Yep.
Oh. The wiki one,
Should we read the wiki summary?
we can.
What does that say?
You get a little bit more. An ancient Earth sleeper ship arrives on the station, carrying with it not only a human from the past, but a black and terrible soldier of darkness.
Interesting. Then we have Spider in the Web. A killer stalks Talia, and he has already murdered once aboard Babylon 5.
So, like, really intimidating horror, like, main plot episode, and then cyber zombie.
Yeah. I really want to get to episodes 7 and 8 because those are some exciting summaries. So I'm sorry for looking ahead, but let's get through next week so we can get to 7 and 8.
Oh, shucks. Yep. Okay. Great.
Yeah,
Sounds like a plan.
You see all that?
Uh-huh.
You see what I'm looking at there, Chief?
I certainly do, sir.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, great.
Thank you, John. Let's take it to the plug zone. Shoop. If you'd like to follow us online, you can check out twitter.com/chatspod, where we post episode updates and you can ask us questions over there. If you have other longer feedback, you can send it to chatspod@gmail.com, and we love reading your emails. You can also rate us 5 stars or whatever on iTunes. Just give us a review if you want to write us a review. That's how people discover the show. It's a really good tool for that.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to support us financially, you can do so by heading to patreon.com/chatspod, where you can back us and send us a little bit of money every month. And you'll get some bonus content. Like $2, you get movie commentaries. We watched Shaolin Soccer for our December movie.
Super fun.
Very fun time, yeah. Watch a film with all your friends, with the Chats boys. $5 a month, you get Chats Nights, where it's kind of like the stuff we talk about before we hit recording episodes, and we made it into a podcast with a little bit of structure to it. Not much. It's like a shorter one, and it comes out every 2 weeks. It's good. I like to think it's fun and good.
Yeah, and people haven't really taken advantage of this yet, but that's a space where we'll literally talk about anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, slap a couple dollars our way and tell us what you want us to communicate about, and we'll do it for you.
Sharks.
Yeah.
We're always looking for more ideas for Chats Night stuff, because otherwise we're just like, I guess we're gonna watch YouTube videos and like talk about our feelings.
Yeah, or we'll look for like hypothetical questions to talk about or things like that. Yeah.
Exactly. In lieu of the usual podcast plugs of our own stuff, we do Chatsums here, where we recommend you do or see or experience something.
Mm-hmm.
So, Majan, what is your Chatsum for this week?
Well, in the spirit of Garibaldi enjoying some delicious Italian food, I ordered some Italian food that arrived partway through our record here. So I'm about to have some fettuccine with shrimp. It's gonna have a little pesto on it. It's gonna have it's gonna have a little artichoke in there, a little cherry tomato. It's gonna be good. I mean, just get some pasta, and enjoy that. Or
get those carbs.
Or make some pasta. It's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy peasy to do. I mean, one of our best dinner times memories we've ever had was when we, with our friend Jim from high school, we went to his place and we made ourselves a fettuccine alfredo with chicken and broccoli in there.
It was freaking delicious, and it's just fun. Cooking is fun, and Italian food is
make something for
delicious.
yourself. Make yourself some pasta. Put whatever you want on that thing.
Toss some meatballs in there, maybe a little bit of spice.
Yeah, whatever. My
mom recently started making 2 new dishes. One of them is penne with buffalo sauce on top and some chicken.
Ooh.
And a couple of like different colored peppers, some red and green peppers in there. It's a very good spicy dish. And the other one is I don't remember which like noodle type or whatever it is, but it's a softer one with some fried shrimp and some black pepper on top. It's very spicy. My mom makes it very spicy, but yeah. The cool thing about that kind of food is you can make it as like spicy or just or savory as you want. It's very freeing. Cool. My Chatzylon for this week is another sort of low-key one. I'm not going to recommend a specific video game, but I'm going to recommend a practice for those of you who don't usually play video games, which I think rock on. But if you've ever like been interested in these sort of longer RPGs that people always talk about, your Final Fantasies, your Dragon Quests, your Star Ocean, your Mass Effect, whatever. Most of the older iterations of those games have like PC versions that are pretty easy to run on anything and have like cheat codes basically.
Yeah.
And so something I've been doing in the last couple of weeks is I've been playing through Final Fantasies 8 and 10. I just finished 8 and I just started 10.
Yeah.
With like no random encounters on, like turn random encounters off and turn like invincibility on in case you have to fight bosses.
Yeah.
And you
experience the whole game without having to worry about the like death stuff.
Yeah, without even having to engage with the video game part. Like you're basically just walking through like a novel. Like playing Final Fantasy VIII, I felt like I was reading a book every night because it's just like I'm going to read some dialogue.
That's fine.
It's a little bit more engaging than watching a Let's Play because I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to like just watch someone else play a game. It's like you're still walking around, you're getting to know the characters, you're seeing them in all of their permutations, but the part where it has to be hard because those games are not like Final Fantasy VIII, for example, is like not designed to be played by people. It's the kind of game where you don't cast spells. You have to like collect spells and then use them on enemies. And, you know, it's just arcane and weird in ways that aren't... They were designed for you to play when you were 11 and had a whole summer. But now, if you just want to enjoy the story, just like throw some cheat codes on. Get to cheating. In video games, specifically.
Right.
And yeah, just cheat through all your old video games. They are all usually pretty cheap and cool stuff. That, dear listener, is going to do it for this episode of Chatzylon 5. Peace.